Let me start with something you probably don't hear women admit out loud. We notice when a man loses interest, and it changes everything. See, most men think women always have the upper hand in dating. You think we're the ones pulling strings, setting the pace, deciding what happens next. But here's the truth. The moment you pull your energy back, we feel it. And whether we admit it or not, it shakes us. Because women are used to being pursued. We're used to men chasing, proving, showing up, and trying to win us over. It's almost the default dynamic, especially if she's attractive and has options. She's used to attention coming to her without effort. But when you stop chasing? When you stop giving her the energy she was soaking up without even thinking about it? That's when things get interesting. That's when you really see how she feels about you. Some women panic. Some start questioning themselves. Some get angry. And some suddenly notice what they've been taking for granted. Because the second a man stops investing, a woman is forced to confront the truth. Either she actually cares about losing him, or she doesn't. And here's where most men get it wrong. You think pulling back is about playing games. It's not. It's about revealing reality. It's about seeing her unfiltered reaction when she realizes your interest is no longer guaranteed. So today, I'm going to tell you exactly how women react when they realize you're not chasing anymore. These are the things we do, whether we mean to or not. Some of it might surprise you, some of it might sting. But if you really want to understand women, you need to hear this from a woman's perspective. 1. She suddenly starts reaching out more. When a man stops chasing, the first shift a woman often feels is the silence. And let me tell you, silence speaks louder than any words you could ever say. If she was used to seeing your name pop up on her phone every day, little check-ins, good morning texts, or playful conversations, the moment that stops, she notices. At first, she might brush it off. She'll think, oh, maybe he's busy. But the longer it goes on, the more that absence lingers in her mind. Suddenly, the roles are flipped. Instead of being the one who's passively receiving your attention, she's the one wondering where you are, what you're doing, and why you're not reaching out. And here's the thing. Women aren't used to chasing. It's not our default mode. But when a man pulls back, if she genuinely likes him, she'll feel a pull to fill that gap. That's when you'll notice her sending that random, "Hey, what are you up to?" text. Or she might react to something on your social media just to spark a conversation. Maybe she'll send you a meme or comment on something you posted. It's subtle, but it's her way of saying, "I miss the energy you used to give me. Are you still interested?" Now, this isn't always about deep feelings at first. Sometimes it's ego. She's used to your attention, and when it's gone, she feels that void. But don't underestimate how powerful that absence can be. The more she reaches out, the clearer it becomes. You're not just another guy to her, because women don't chase men they don't care about. But here's where a lot of men mess up. The moment she makes that first move, they rush right back in, flooding her with the same attention she had grown comfortable with before. And guess what? The cycle resets. She knows she's still got you, and she relaxes again. The smarter move is to hold your ground. Respond, sure. Be polite. Even warm if you want to. But don't drop everything just because she suddenly remembered you exist. Make her feel the difference between when you were chasing her and when you're living your life on your own terms. That's what creates real attraction. Not games, not manipulation. Just the natural tension of a woman realizing she has to step up if she wants to keep you around. So if she suddenly starts reaching out more, understand what's happening. She feels your absence, and she's trying to close the gap. That's not the time to collapse back into old habits. That's the moment to see if she's willing to invest the same way you used to. 2. She gets jealous. even if she won't admit it. One of the most revealing signs that a woman actually cares more than she lets on is when jealousy starts creeping in. And the interesting thing about female jealousy is this: it doesn't always come out directly. Sometimes it shows up in small, subtle ways. Little comments, questions, or even changes in her tone that give away what she's really feeling. When you were the one chasing, she probably felt secure. She knew she had your attention. Even if she wasn't giving you the same energy back, she could relax because she didn't feel like she was at risk of losing you. But the moment you stop chasing, something inside her shifts. Suddenly, the possibility that you might give that same energy to another woman starts to hit her. And trust me, that thought is enough to light a fire under her emotions. Now, women don't usually come right out and say, "I'm jealous." Instead, it'll come out in little tests or comments. She might casually ask, "So, who have you been hanging out with lately?" Or she might bring up another woman in a joking way like, "Oh, I'm sure you're too busy texting your little girlfriends." Sometimes it's sarcasm, sometimes it's curiosity, but underneath it all is a simple truth. She's worried about competition. If she sees you on social media having a good time, especially with other women around, that's when jealousy tends to spike the hardest. Maybe she likes your story quicker than usual. Maybe she leaves a playful but slightly pointed comment. Or maybe she suddenly decides to post something to grab your attention back. It's all about reclaiming that sense of control she feels slipping away. But here's what you need to understand. Jealousy isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it can be one of the clearest signs that she actually values you. Because women don't get jealous over men they don't care about. If she truly had zero interest, she wouldn't even flinch at the idea of you spending time with someone else. The fact that she notices and reacts tells you exactly where her emotions are. Now, the mistake most men make is that they either deny it too hard or lean into it too aggressively. Some guys panic when they sense jealousy and overcompensate by reassuring her constantly. Others go too far the other way, trying to weaponize her jealousy to make her chase harder. Both approaches backfire. The right move? Stay calm. Keep living your life. Don't rub it in her face, but don't downplay it either. If she feels jealous, let her sit with that emotion. That's where she starts to realize how much she actually cares. That's when she starts to see that if she doesn't step up, she could lose you for real. So, when she gets jealous, even if she pretends she's not, understand that's her heart talking louder than her words. That's a powerful shift in the dynamic. 3. She tests your attention in subtle ways. When a woman realizes you've stopped chasing, she won't always come running back directly. Instead, she often shifts into what I like to call testing mode. This is where she starts putting out little signals, almost like bait, just to see if you'll bite. It's her way of measuring how much power she still has over you. These tests usually don't look obvious. In fact, they can seem casual or even accidental, but trust me, most of them are intentional. For example, she might send you a random message that doesn't really have a point, like, "Hey, I just saw something that reminded me of you." Or, "Guess what? You'll never believe what happened today." It's not that the content of the message is important. What matters is whether you respond quickly, how much effort you put into the conversation, and whether you seem eager to give her your full attention again. Another classic test is the social media drop. She might suddenly post a picture of herself looking her best. Maybe dressed up, maybe out having fun with friends, maybe even with another guy in the frame, just enough to spark curiosity. And then she'll wait. Will you react? Will you comment? Will you slide back into her messages with a sense of urgency? That's the test. Sometimes it's not about posting, but about silence. She might pull back herself, not message you, not like your posts, not engage at all, just to see if you'll crack and make the first move. This is one of the most common games women play when they sense they're losing control. It's a tug of war for attention, and her silence is meant to trigger you into breaking yours. Here's the key thing. Women test like this because attention is currency in relationships. When you were chasing, she had an endless supply of it. She never had to worry about where she stood with you because you were constantly proving it. But now that you've pulled back, she needs to find out if she can still draw it out of you. Most men fail these tests because they panic. They see a post and rush to comment. They get a vague message and immediately overinvest in the conversation. They sense her silence and rush back in with effort, trying to re-establish contact. And while it feels natural, it completely undoes the progress you made by stepping back in the first place. The smarter move is to recognize these tests for what they are: subtle fishing attempts, and respond in a controlled way. If she messages you, don't ignore her, but don't drop everything to prove yourself either. Match her energy, not exceed it. If she posts something attention-grabbing, like it if you genuinely want to, but don't blow it up with validation. If she goes silent, stay patient. The longer you hold your ground, the more powerful the shift becomes. When you stop chasing, these tests are actually a good sign. They mean she still cares enough to measure your reaction. A woman who feels nothing won't bother testing you at all. So when she does, don't get frustrated. Just stay steady. Every time you pass one of these tests, her attraction quietly grows. 4. She tries to pull you back into her orbit. Now this one is where women start getting strategic, sometimes without even realizing it. When she feels you slipping away, when she senses that you're no longer orbiting around her like you used to, she'll instinctively try to pull you back in. And the way she does this can take many different forms, depending on her personality, her level of interest, and how much she's invested in you. One of the most common tactics: random check-ins. Suddenly she's texting you about things she could have easily figured out on her own. She's asking your opinion on something trivial or bringing up a memory from when you two last hung out. These messages aren't really about what she's saying. They're about re-establishing that line of communication. She's testing the waters to see if you'll engage. Other times it's not direct communication, but indirect pulls. She might start posting more on social media, especially things she knows will catch your attention. Maybe she's suddenly going out with friends, looking like she's having the time of her life. Or she's posting little quotes and captions that seem suspiciously aimed at you. Again, it's less about the content itself and more about creating a gravitational pull that draws your eyes and your thoughts back toward her. Another big move women make is leaning on nostalgia. If she wants to pull you back in, she'll remind you of the good times. She'll bring up inside jokes, mention something you once did together, or revisit a memory she knows holds emotional weight. Why? Because memory is a powerful anchor. If she can get you feeling those old emotions again, she increases her chances of pulling you back closer. But here's where you need to be sharp. Not every pull means she genuinely wants you back. Sometimes it's about ego. Sometimes she just doesn't like the idea of losing your attention. And sometimes it's about control. She may not be ready to commit, but she still wants to know she has access to you whenever she wants. So how should you handle it? Simple. Don't rush to meet her halfway just because she's pulling. Observe first. Look at the pattern of her behavior. Is she genuinely showing effort? Or is she just trying to reel you in enough to keep you in her orbit without actually giving you more of herself? The key is this. A woman's attempt to pull you back in is revealing. It shows that she feels your absence, that she notices the difference in your energy. But whether that pull leads anywhere meaningful depends on her intentions and your ability to stay grounded instead of instantly rewarding her for the effort. When a man can hold his ground while she's trying to pull him back, that's when the real power shift happens. She realizes she's not the only one who can decide how this connection plays out. 5. She shifts between sweet and cold. Here's where things can start to get confusing for a lot of men. One moment she's warm, sweet, and affectionate, acting like she genuinely misses you. Then the next moment, she's distant, short with her replies, or completely cold. It's like you're dealing with two different women at the same time. And trust me, this back and forth isn't random. There's always a reason behind it. When a woman shifts between sweet and cold, it's often because she's caught in two conflicting emotions: the desire to keep you close and the fear of losing control. On the sweet side, she lets herself soften up because deep down she does miss your presence, your attention, and the way you made her feel. That's when she'll be friendly, open, even flirty. But the coldness creeps in when she realizes she might be giving you too much power back. She worries that if she shows you how much she actually cares, you'll use that to pull away even more, so she pulls back first. It's almost like a push and pull dance. Sweetness draws you in, coldness keeps you off balance. And this pattern is one of the clearest signs that she's not indifferent to your absence. In fact, it shows she's emotionally affected by it. A woman who doesn't care won't bother shifting her energy like this. She'll just be consistently distant and gone. But if she's alternating between giving and withholding, it's because she's still tangled in her feelings for you. From a man's perspective, this can be frustrating because it's hard to know how to respond. When she's sweet, you may feel like things are finally improving, only for her sudden coldness to slam the door again. The natural reaction is to chase her warmth, to try harder when she goes cold. But that's the trap. If you chase her during those cold spells, you teach her that pulling away gets her more attention from you. The smarter move is balance. Match her warmth, but don't overgive. When she's sweet, appreciate it, but don't fall headfirst into thinking everything is fixed. When she goes cold, don't chase, give her space, and remain steady. That steadiness communicates strength. It tells her you're not a puppet to her moods, and you won't be controlled by her emotional swings. Understand this. When a woman switches between sweet and cold, she's actually revealing the battle inside her. Part of her wants to reconnect. Part of her wants to protect her pride. If you stay calm and centered through it all, she eventually realizes the coldness doesn't work on you. And that realization often makes her lean more into the sweet side. So instead of being frustrated by these shifts, see them as confirmation that your absence has created an emotional impact. And remember, her inconsistency doesn't require you to fix anything. It requires you to stay consistent within yourself. 6. She tries to make you jealous. When a woman starts trying to make you jealous after your absence, it's one of the clearest signs you're still on her mind. Think about it. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't bother. Indifference is silent, but jealousy is deliberate. It's her way of testing you, of trying to trigger an emotional reaction that reassures her she still matters to you. You'll notice this in subtle and sometimes not so subtle ways. She might suddenly post more revealing pictures online, smiling with new guys, or showing off how much fun she's having without you. Maybe she mentions another man in conversation, even in a casual way, just to see how you respond. Or she could exaggerate her independence, going out of her way to prove she's perfectly fine on her own. On the surface, it looks like she's showing off her new life. But underneath, it's about you. It's about pulling at your emotions and seeing if you'll bite. Here's what's really happening. Jealousy is her strategy for regaining control. When you walked away or created distance, she lost the sense of security she once had with you. That uncertainty makes her uneasy. So instead of admitting that she misses you, she tries to flip the script. to make you feel the same unease she's been feeling. It's her way of saying, if I can't read your feelings, I'll force you to reveal them by provoking a reaction. Now, this is where many men make mistakes. They see these jealousy plays and react emotionally. They confront her, get defensive, or try to compete with whoever she's flaunting. And in doing so, they give her exactly what she wants, proof that they're still hooked. That's the trap you need to avoid. The right response isn't anger or desperation, it's calm indifference. When she tries to spark jealousy, don't reward the behavior with obvious reactions. If she posts a picture with another guy, don't comment on it. If she brings up another man, acknowledge it with a neutral response and change the subject. By refusing to play into her game, you show her that her attempts at control no longer affect you, and nothing frustrates a woman more than when her jealousy tactics fall flat. But here's the deeper truth. Her trying to make you jealous is not just manipulation. It's vulnerability in disguise. It's a sign she still values your attention. A woman who's over you won't care about making you feel anything. She'll just move on quietly. But when she's deliberately trying to stir your emotions, it means your absence has created a gap she can't quite ignore. So don't see jealousy as a threat. See it as confirmation. It proves your absence is being felt. The key is to stay centered, not to chase and not to compete. When you refuse to play the jealousy game, she eventually realizes that the only way to reconnect with you is through genuine affection, not cheap emotional tricks. 7. She comes back around subtly. When a woman starts to feel the weight of your absence, there comes a point where she can no longer rely on games, pride, or distractions to fill that void. That's when she starts coming back around, not in some dramatic, sweeping confession, but in quiet, calculated, subtle ways. It's her way of testing the waters without fully exposing her vulnerability. You'll notice this in small but intentional actions. She might suddenly text you with a random excuse, something like, "Hey, do you remember the name of that place we went to?" Or, "I just saw something that reminded me of you." On the surface it seems casual, but underneath it's her attempt at reopening the door. Sometimes it's even softer than that. A like on your social media post, a little comment, or finding a way to bump into you by accident. These aren't coincidences. They're her subtle signals that she wants to reconnect without having to say outright, "I miss you." This is important to understand. When a woman comes back subtly, it's not because she doesn't miss you enough. It's because she's still protecting her pride. She doesn't want to risk rejection, and she doesn't want to seem like she's chasing you. So instead, she drops hints. She tries to get you to make the next move, so she can keep her dignity intact while still getting closer to you. Now, how you handle this moment matters. If you rush in too eagerly, she'll feel like she still has control. If you ignore her completely, she may retreat back into her defenses. The best approach is balance. Acknowledge her, but don't overinvest. Respond politely, even playfully, but keep your composure. Show that you're open to interaction, but you're not desperate for it. This creates an atmosphere where she feels safe enough to move closer while still seeing that you've changed, that you're not the same man she once took for granted. Here's the psychological layer. When a woman circles back subtly, she's not just testing you, she's testing herself. At the end of the day, you need to understand this. Women don't always use words to tell you how they feel about you. More often than not, it's their behavior that reveals the truth. If a woman is pulling away, ignoring your efforts, or acting indifferent toward you, that's not an accident. It's a clear signal. And ignoring those signals is where most men go wrong. They keep chasing, keep trying to prove themselves, and end up destroying their own value in her eyes. The men who stand out, the men women actually respect, are the ones who know when to stop giving energy to someone who doesn't value it. They don't waste time explaining themselves, begging for attention, or lowering their standards just to keep a woman. Instead, they focus on themselves, on their growth, and on women who show real interest. That's what creates attraction. That's what sets you apart. Remember, women are naturally drawn to men who don't need them, but choose them. So if you're dealing with a woman who shows these signs of disinterest, your best move is simple. Walk away with confidence, not in anger, not in desperation, but with clarity and self-respect. Because the moment you stop chasing what isn't meant for you, you open the door to something better. And when she realizes you're no longer waiting around, that's when the game changes. Know your worth. Move with strength. And never forget, respect yourself first.